Hi, this is Sarah Mikesell with the Pig Site, and today we're here with Dr. Daniel Linares. He is the Roy Schultz Professor at Iowa State University. Thanks for being with us today,
Thanks for
Daniel.
having us.
Very good. We are here at the PRRS Management Workshop that you're having ahead of World Pork Expo. Tell me a little bit about what we're hearing today. We got a nice big group of people here. What have been some of the highlights that you've heard so far?
Yeah, so this afternoon was set up in two different sessions. The first one was research updates, really lightning talks with research updates
Yeah.
from 9 different speakers, and then the second half will be practitioners. So be, I think, even more fun. The first part, the what I heard is there was some updates from the machine program and from the PRRS program as far as what's going on in the U.S. in terms of PRRS activity, and at this point in time, the activity is as expected for this time of the year, with the caveat that the grow finish population, the activity is much higher than that of breeding herd, right? So just another reminder that if you want to prevent the next wave of outbreaks and infection, gotta raise the bar in terms of biosecurity and biocontainment in the grow finish pig population.
Right.
They also talk about that different regions of the country are dealing with different strains of PRRS virus.
Right.
So it's not only one going on in the whole country. So gotta be depending on the region
Right.
you're in. There's different stuff going on, right? So that was Dr. Scorzo and Trevisan. Then we had Dr. Holtkamp. He provided an update of the new PRRS classification system
Right.
publication that just came out in the JSHAP journal late last year in 2021. Just reminding people that there is the new AASV status going on, right, which incorporates processing fluids, family oral fluids, and incorporate the low prevalence status before the positive unstable and the stability. And once herds reach stability, the new ASV status also incorporate the 2VX,
Right.
which is I'm winning PRRS wild type PRRS negative, but maybe some vaccine activity there, vaccine virus activity there. So there was Dr. Holtkamp's. In my talk, we talked about the PRRS outbreak management program, where we compared to studies that we did 10 years ago. What we
Right.
are seeing now compared to back then is it's taking longer for farms to get rid of the virus, and the impact in productivity is higher compared to what we saw before. And some reasons include the herds that implement herd closure, right, interrupt gilt introduction.
Right.
Those are more likely to become negative faster and have a less production impact compared to herds that don't close the herd. Other protective risk factor is exposing the whole herd to something. If it's vaccine, it's gonna have a less impact in productivity. It's what the wild type, it's gonna have low, quicker time to low prevalence, right? But doing either vaccine or wild type is certainly better for those outcomes than we're just relying on natural exposure of the virus. The other thing that we talked about, and then Giovanni kind of talked more, was the whole genome data and how that correlates with these metrics, that whole herd metrics. And long story short, if you look at the whole genome and variation, a lot of herds are infected with multiple viruses at once.
Yeah.
Not only one virus, right, but a wave of viruses. And the more viruses were detected as far as the whole genome analysis following PRRS outbreak, the longer it takes for the farm to get rid of the virus, and the more the significant is the production impact. So that concept of I'm positive for PRRS, so I can
Yeah.
lower my biosecurity, right? No, don't do that, because the more virus strains you have, the worse it is the impact, and the harder it is to get rid of the virus, right? So what else? Dr. Gustavo Silva talked a lot about using productivity data, right? Monitoring stuff like number of aborts, number of
Right.
prenatal losses, and feed disappearance if farms that are using ESF type of systems, right? Why not using those indicators as early alert signals, right, to understand and early detect when there's outbreaks? So he demonstrated data that those alert systems based off of those production data they could be detect outbreaks 2, 3, 4 weeks before people are
Yeah.
detecting today with
I,
diagnostics.
I found that incredibly fascinating. And I know we're looking at it kind of in the backward sense, but this is real time data that you can follow on your farm. And it can be a really, I mean, what we were looking at looked like it was a really good indicator to help producers in advance know what they're dealing with.
Right. People still use diagnostics. We think production data is
Right.
no substitute for diagnostics, but diagnostics is usually taken from a subset of animals, just
Yeah.
few rooms, few pigs, in a weekly basis or every other week or once a month. While production data is data from the whole herd, and you can take that daily. So it's a no-brainer, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Why are you not doing more of that? So it's happening
Using
now, and
essentially using the data you have, right, as a real time predictor.
right, yeah,
It was really interesting. I was
yeah.
fascinated by that.
We're excited about that too.
Yeah.
And so moving on here, what else do we have? Dr. JQ
Oh
Zhang,
yeah.
he demonstrated data with experimentally infected pigs with 144, the new variant virus, right, lineage 1C variant, and he demonstrated that experimentally, yes, those pigs have more extensive lesions, higher viremia, so on and so forth, several metrics. It is a more virulent virus than the other reference PRRS virus strains.
And if I could just mention too, Daniel, he had pictures showing this, the different strains, right? Is that the right?
Yes.
Sorry, there was a lot of information covered, but it was so fascinating to see the activity level of the pigs and how PRRS really impacts them or doesn't, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was really
A lot of
interesting.
good experimental data confirming
Yeah.
what people are seeing in the field.
In
Say,
the
hey, it's
field,
real.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was really interesting too. So.
Yeah. Moving on here, we already talked about Giovanni. Dr. Rademacher talked about summary of studies of his own on use of impact of ivermectin
Right.
to fight pigs naturally infected with 144 lineage 1C variant virus. And based on his experimental studies, he didn't see an impact in either viremia or average daily gain mortality or treatment in general.
Very good.
And the last one is Dr. Ozemeke, Henry Ozemeke. He talked about the effect of the benefit of pooling.
Uh-huh.
So pooling things like family oral fluids, it's much better to go aggressively and pull 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 20, rather than collecting just a few subset of liters and sending in.
Right.
If you pull because you are sampling more crates, more rooms, that's certainly a good idea to increase your probability of detection, rather than not pulling but just hitting a few crates of a few rooms. So he explored, demonstrated mathematically that pooling is a good
Right.
idea to increase your probability of detection.
And can you just describe? There were a couple new terms, even for myself. Obviously, we've heard of oral fluids and the use of oral fluids, but family of is that right? FOF.
Yeah, right. So family oral fluids, it's an oral fluid where you hang the rope in the suckling pig
Uh-huh.
population, where both the sow and the baby piglets have access to the rope.
Got it.
So that's why it's called family. One rope for the whole family, right? Mom and
Right.
the sow and the piglets. It's a good way of sampling the winning age piglets, the due to wean, the ones that are ready to be weaned. You hang the rope there. The sow start playing with the rope, and the baby piglets copy behavior and do the same.
Oh, that's very good. I was even a little bit confused by that because we've heard oral fluids, and I've seen the pictures of them in a pen with weaned pigs or grow to finish pig, different pigs. But that was a new one for me. So that was interesting to see how some of these diagnostic tools are being used.
Yeah, being evolved, right?
Yeah, definitely. Great. Well, thank you so much for the recap. It's hard to explain how much information came at us in a short amount of time here, but it was a great update. And this has been ahead of World Pork Expo. You've had a really nice crowd here to share and getting some of this information out.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks
Very
for having
good.
us.
All right, very good. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Thank you.
This is Sarah Mikesel with the Pig Site.